Hello everyone, today I want to share with you some of the books that I've been using as read out louds or as beginning reader books for my second grader and my first grader. Okay, so first I would like to share with you the books that have been helpful in teaching my children to read. And we have used the Bob Books collection. In the back you can see how many there are. And each box includes many little books. If you're not familiar with Bob Books, I'll take one out. And they begin with words that are very easy for a child to pronounce every sound, and usually they use the words that rhyme, and then they'll continue with the next book in the set and they'll continue to use a lot of the same words from the first book and then introduce new words. And so little by little, my kids were able to go through these books. My second grader has completed this, but my first grader, he's still going through it. But here's, for example, the next box that we're going through. So after he completed set 1, now he's moved on to Bob Books. My first grader is a little younger than what your typical first grader age is. We decided to start him a little earlier than where he would have started had we placed him in a public school. He would have needed to start a whole year later, kindergarten, meaning that he would have been 6 years old. So it's one of those things where his birthday just landed 2 days after the cutoff day. So that's why technically he's still like the age of kindergarten, around the same age, the same level that my daughter was when she was going through these books. So just in case you were wondering. So here is the next box, and I just want to show you how they repeat a lot of the same words that they're already familiar with. And they go slow. So in the second box, it's still like not overwhelming for kids, but towards the end of the other levels, the sentences can get pretty long. I like to have my child repeat the book. If they got stuck on a few words, then I like to make sure that they have it down before we move on to the other one, because then it would just be more frustrating. Once my daughter completed that set, we moved on to these type of books that are found on Amazon. I can read, but we started with level 1 with her. These are level 1. There are 5 stories in here. You can see it's already going to be more work. She really enjoyed reading the whole book one time on one day, but once we went up to the next level books, for example these books, the stories get much longer, so these were reading a few pages every day. On this box, I'm planning on reading this with my son who is starting to read. It says my first shared reading. The parent reads the harder words and the child will read the simple repeated words throughout this story. The nice thing about these books is that your child can practice reading carefully. Once my daughter learned to read, she enjoyed reading very quickly. But with these books, you actually have to pay close attention to all the little words, and we're practicing not guessing what is going to be said next. And on the back, it also tells you how each level is different from the one before. So on level 1, there are simple sentences. Level 2, high interest stories. Level 3, complex plots. And number 4, the perfect bridge to chapter books. I like how they have a lot of options for different characters, different topics. I try to choose topics that are going to interest my daughter. And for my son, I'm anticipating buying other books with other topics that he might find more fun reading. I made the mistake of wanting to jump too quickly from beginning books to chapter books. If you can see here, my daughter is on this level, and I thought, let's try getting her a chapter book. And one thing that my daughter had told me that she didn't like too much from the level 1 books, which it's not really focusing on the story but just simple sentences. But she found it a little boring, that there was not a lot of action and adventure. She loves adventure, action, so she wants books with that. And she loves princesses, so I tried to find some books that had that. I saw that there was a collection online, and I thought, wow, this would be perfect for her. They're called the Rescue Princesses. And for example, this one is the Snow Jewel. And the back says, Friendship, Animals, and Secret Royal Adventures. Princess Freya's little kitten has got lost in the snow. Can the rescue princesses find Minky and bring her into the warm? The problem was that the English is a little different. It seems to be a collection from someplace in Europe. So there are some words that we would not really understand, or we would not phrase things like that. So it was a little more difficult for her to read the sentences and the words. A lot of these words we had not reviewed or practiced reading yet on our other books that are helping her get familiar with the sounds of blended letters. But since she loves adventure and she loves princesses, I'm going to use them as read alouds. And when she's a little older, she'll be able to read these on her own. I was also searching for some chapter books for my son, and I found these read alouds as well. There are others that I have in another room, but just to give you an idea. They're by the author Kevin Lovegreen. We're reading one of the books, and for my kids, it's a very different experience because we haven't necessarily done read alouds until recently. So it's a new experience. It's teaching them to listen, and there aren't a lot of pictures. So I thought it would be good to have a different topic that might be interesting for my son in particular. So I'll have something that will be interesting for both of them that we can read out loud. The times that I have told my kids to get a book and read on their own, my son, who is the first grader, he reaches usually for one of these books. They're the Dr. Seuss Beginner Book Collection. And there are some of these that are easier than others. For example, Fox in Socks. Only a few pages are easier for him to read. For example, this one, right? Fox Socks. And because he has the pictures to help him. So in the first pages, he's able to read on his own. And if I read this book to him enough times, then he'll remember and he'll be able to follow along better. But I'm noticing that we tend to think that board books are just for babies. But my son, he's 5, he's about to be 6. He reaches for this book. He says this is his favorite, and I bought this for them when they were babies. But he likes it because he can read it. and it gives him confidence that he's a reader. So I think that it would be a worthwhile thing to buy more board books, as my child is still in that beginning phase where he's learning his first words still. Alright guys, those are all the books that we're using right now. I would love to hear what your read alouds and your beginner books are. Maybe I can buy some of your book recommendations. Please remember to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.